A Big Ten athletic director just said that the conference will add 2 teams and jump to 20 teams in the conference. Some are suggesting that the 2 teams will be Utah and Kansas. We're going to take a closer look. Locked On Big Ten starts right now.
You are Locked On Big Ten, your daily podcast on the Big Ten Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Big Ten. I'm Craig Sheeman, 40 years as a sports talk show host and play-by-play announcer, and I want to thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Hey, hit that free subscribe button down below. That way you'll never miss a single episode. We're here every day, and if you could share, like, and follow, that will help us as well. And did you know you can hype YouTube videos now? That helps us out. Feel free to do that as well. We'd always appreciate it. Today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money and use the code LOCKDOWNCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. So more Big Ten expansion talk. Plus, Mike Gundy taking some shots at Dan-Lanning ahead of the Oklahoma State-Oregon game this weekend. What's that all about? And we'll have our power rankings 1 through 18 after the first week of the season. We'll see where your team fits in. Sports Illustrated reported that brand new Maryland athletic director James Smith, he said that the Big Ten would add 2 teams to become a 20-team league. And he made these comments during an interview on a radio program called Inside Maryland Radio. He said it would be by the end of the decade, which sounds like a long time from now, but it's not. You know, this dovetails exactly with what everydayers here see me talking about all the time. When we get to 2030, TV contracts with the Power 4 conferences are going to be expiring. Teams are going to want to jump to the more lucrative ones. It's going to be mayhem. It's coming, and it's coming right around the corner because those conversations don't wait till 2030 to start. They got to start negotiating in advance. So it's going to be here sooner than later. And by the way, we think that the league will grow by more than 2 teams. We don't agree with Athletic Director Smith's comment that it'll be 2. It'll be more. We absolutely think it'll be more. But let's humor everybody right now. All right, he says it's going to be 2. Let's take a look and see what that means exactly. You know, this same Sports Illustrated article I was quoting quoted Brett McMurphy from saying that there could be some real Big Ten interest in Utah and Kansas. So, look, we explored the Big Ten's interest in these schools this summer, did a couple of podcasts on it, really, especially Utah, not so much Kansas, but Utah. We talked about them a lot. They are an attractive school for a lot of reasons, and so is Kansas for that matter. But it's interesting how we always talk about the conference's footprint. The Big Ten has already expanded from the East Coast to the West Coast. How about the Deep South? We always talk about the Deep South. We always talk about Clemson, or we talk about Florida State coming to the Big Ten, maybe Miami. And you know, there's always the untapped state of North Carolina that both the SEC and the Big Ten would like to get their footprint into. We actually think that North Carolina is the crown jewel of this entire argument. I think while other schools are kind of looking for a fit, like maybe Florida State want to come to the Big Ten, but does the Big Ten want Florida State? I think in the case of North Carolina, you're going to actually see a bidding war when they leave the ACC, and they will. I think the Big Ten and the SEC get into a bit of a bidding war for their services. I think they are in a unique spot. I really do. They got it all covered. Academics, football, basketball. It's just a nice campus, nice school. And I think either conference would be really happy to have North Carolina. Although their football program has got some work to do after what we saw Bill Belichick go through on Monday night against TCU. They didn't look too good, did they? So, while expansion talk focuses on the Big Ten's footprint into the Deep South, let's explore the flyover country of Utah and Kansas and what we think about that. One downside is there aren't any big TV markets in there, right? But one upside is it could create a little travel relief going across the country, particularly in non-football sports, basketball. You know, a team on the West Coast can jump on over into Utah or Nebraska or Iowa in the middle and play a game, and then a couple of days later, have flown over to the East Coast and knock off a Rutgers or a Maryland game, and vice versa. Or you could have some regional rivalries develop. You throw in Utah and Kansas in there, along with Minnesota and Iowa and Nebraska and Wisconsin. Now, maybe you got something there. I think it's pretty interesting when you start looking at the regional rivalries. And then there's the other part, academics, the A word. Look, it's a topic that the Big Ten loves to talk about. School presidents from the Big Ten love academics, right? They still think they're a school. We think this is all about football business. They think it's all about academics. And they put value on the AAU accreditation, the Association of American Universities. 69 schools belong to it, I believe. Utah and Kansas fit the bill. Every other Big Ten team belongs as well, except I believe Nebraska does not. So as far as football goes, Utah, they have been a steady, rock-solid program for 2 decades, going all the way back to the Urban Meyer's days there. Kyle Whittingham hasn't missed a beat. They've been really good for a long time. Been one of the longest tenured coaches in all of college football. Although it would be unlikely that he would still be around if Utah were to move into the Big Ten in a few years, but nevertheless, and maybe they can hit on hard times. Maybe they can be a superpower. I don't know. You can see how quickly things can turn overnight. One year, Florida State's horrible. The next year, they're good. One year, Alabama's awesome. Now they're not. That's how quickly things could go in the college football world. And Kansas, they're largely known as a basketball school, but they are trying really, really hard to become a football powerhouse. They just spent $450 million to upgrade their football stadium. And although the basketball fan in me love basketball, I would love watching Blue Bloods Kansas taking on Indiana in a home-and-home conference series. That would be fantastic. And don't get me started if North Carolina joins the mix of the Big Ten. With the basketball, that'd be something. But back to Maryland Athletic Director James Smith, by the way. He's been in the conference all 5 minutes, and now he's making talking about expansion and making splashy comments in the media and all that. Look, he's got to get Maryland's name, image, and likeness and revenue share up to speed with everybody else. That's why he was brought in there. By the way, have you noticed Maryland's freshman quarterback, Malik Washington? We talked about him the other day. And he just got the Big Ten Freshman of the Week award, 258 yards, 3 touchdowns in his performance against Florida Atlantic. I think he's going to be a really special player. True freshman from the state. Mike Loxley kept him in there. And I think I can see a path here now where it's going to be a battle week by week between Michigan's Bryce Underwood and Malik Washington from Maryland, maybe battling it out for freshman of the year in the Big Ten. I think we got a few special young quarterbacks in the league. But anyway, back to expansion talk. So, because it is going to happen. And I don't know that 20 is the number. I think it's going to be a lot bigger. I don't know what the number is, 24, 26. I don't know. But we've always said here on Lockdown Big Ten that the ACC will be the next conference to crumble like the Pac-12 did. That TV media deal is not sustainable. It's horrible for the schools. And a few more years, it's going to be more affordable for those schools to go ahead and leave and look elsewhere. But then there's going to be a domino effect, and it's going to trickle into the Big 12 as well. Because now if the Big 10 and the SEC are gobbling up ACC schools in the Big 10 or Big 12 are going to be going, we got some musical chairs going on here. I don't want to be the last one standing. Let me get out of here. I'm going to go to the Big 10 and the SEC. The Big 12 will lose some schools on this deal as well. So interesting conversation. This is why we're talking about these schools here today, because ultimately I think the SEC and the Big 10 will become super conferences like the NFL has an AFC and an NFC format, and they'll have their own championship. That's the road we're going down. It's already happening. These conferences are already formulating the college football playoff format for the future, and they're going to do it in a manner that strongly benefits the Big 10 and the SEC. But in the meantime, as we get closer and closer to the end of the decade where we're going to play musical chairs, Utah and Kansas could be the first ones to jump, among others. Let me know what you think. I'm always interested in your comments in this subject, so go ahead and bring it here as well. And be sure to hit that free subscribe button. That way you never miss a single episode. And if you could share, follow, and like Locked On Big Ten, we always appreciate that. Hype us up, too, on YouTube. And don't forget, we have a website, talkbig10.com, where we put all of our podcasts. If you missed yesterday's, go back and check it out for a second listen. We also have links there for merchandise for your favorite Big Ten schools right there at your fingertips as well. So with all that in mind, we got some other things I got to get to here today. This is a great podcast with a lot of interesting stuff here. We got Oklahoma State's Mike Gundy. He's taking shots at Dan Lanning and the Oregon Ducks ahead of Saturday's matchup. Gundy pointing out that he thinks Oregon spent $40 million on its roster, and he's like, woe is me. How are we going to compete with that? Dan Lanning had an answer to it. We'll do all that. Plus, we power rank all the Big Ten teams 1 through 18 after 1 week of play. We'll have that list. We'll see where your team is on it in a minute here on Locked On Big Ten. Mazda. Love to talk about Mazda, and they are a great sponsor of ours. They craft cars for those who choose to do more than just simply move. They follow what moves them every time they drive, and that's what makes Mazda stand out. They go beyond safety and style and performance, and they deliver a driving experience that feels alive in every detail. You know, as an athlete focuses on every detail, Mazda does the same, from metallic accents to hand-stitched Napa leather. And whether it's for a quick drive to practice or a weekend road trip, Mazda makes even everyday drives feel special. It's the small details that make the big plays. And just like there's more to every player, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved. Thanks for making Locked On Big Ten your first listen each and every day, especially you everydayers out there. Thank you very much. Meanwhile, be sure to hit that free subscribe button down below and share, follow, and like Locked On Big Ten, your team every day. And check out our website, talkbig10.com, for all of our podcasts and Big Ten merchandise. Let's talk about this game coming up this weekend with Oklahoma State and Oregon. Oregon's a big favorite in this game. We'll get to that in a minute. But as Oklahoma State gets ready to travel to Autzen Stadium and deal with all the noise and being an underdog there, Coach Mike Gundy and the Oklahoma State football program, they've fallen on hard times lately. In fact, they were awful last year. And Gundy's on the hot seat, right? He needs to turn things around. So the first thing that he has to face, in addition to facing maybe one of the hottest programs in the country in the Oregon Ducks, he's got to face a program that has a lot more money than his does, right? Now, Gundy's always good for a good soundbite. And remember, I'm a man, I'm 40. Back then, that was like 10, 15 years ago. He fired off some big ones ahead of Saturday's game. He strongly suggested that the Oregon Ducks are the best team money can buy. He says that all their support from Nike up there, Dan Lanning's roster is worth about $40 million. And when you look at name, image, and likeness and revenue share and all that, he says, man, it's hard to compete against that. So Gundy spouted off on his weekly radio show. He said, by comparison, woe is me. I only spent $7 million on my roster over the last 3 years. They're doing $40 million in a year. We don't know if the number's 40 million, and he doesn't know either. He even said, I might be $1 million or so off. But then he went on to say, look, that quarterback they have there, Dante Moore, they're not going to be able to keep him unless they pay him even more money. And then he suggested that for non-conference games, teams like Oregon should not be playing teams like Oklahoma State with smaller budgets. They should play schools only with the similar budgets. So Oregon should only play non-conference games against Texas and Texas Tech and Georgia. That's what he's insinuating. Now, Dan Lanning caught wind of this, and he did respond. He said, look, I got a lot of respect for Gundy. And then he said what he really thought. If you start a statement, no offense, but then you say whatever you want. Or I got a lot of respect for this person. But, here's the but. Dan Lanning says, if you want to be a top 10 team, you got to invest in that team. And we at Oregon, we spend to win. Kind of like it. He wasn't apologizing for it. He realizes there's a lot of money flowing around, and it takes a lot of money to be an upper echelon football team. Then here's where it got personal. He then said some people need an excuse for why they don't win. I.e., the school doesn't have enough money. I can't win here. That kind of a deal. Then he said, I'm not talking about them. I'm not talking about Gundy and Oklahoma State, even though he clearly was. Because then he said, I don't know how much money they have in their pockets. I thought it was a really fascinating comeback. Very interesting. So last year, Lanning and Georgia coach Kirby Smart, they kind of had some back and forth among the same deal. Kirby was like, "Oh, they got a ton of money up there at Nike. They're just loading up positions." And Lanning was back and forth going, "Yeah, well, like Georgia's hurting. They're always in the top 2 in recruiting. You think they're not spending money?" But anyway, it was good natured. These guys are friends. They're coworkers. Lanning used to be the defensive coordinator for Kirby. It was all good and fun. These comments this week between Lanning and Gundy, they felt a little edgy. I don't know. I think they're both irritated now. I don't think this is friendly banter before a big game. Do you? I don't think so. So, and then here's another note I'm going to throw out there right here. I'm just going to say it. I would caution Gundy about popping off about other schools spending money. It wasn't too long ago that oil man T. Boone Pickens, when he was alive, he was throwing all of his money at Oklahoma State with facilities and everything. Now, this was pre-name, image, and likeness, so he couldn't, do anything to the players legally anyway. So they were rolling in the money back in the day. I didn't hear Gundy complaining about it back then. He was rolling. Oregon's got Nike money. All right. Oklahoma State, they had oil money. It's a lot of that to go around. So kickoff for this game is at 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific on CBS. And Oregon is a 28.5-point favorite. So I guess the difference between a $40 million roster and a $7 million roster is about 4 touchdowns. We'll have our official picks on Pigskin Picks on Friday's episode. So the Ducks, man, they're coming off that win over Montana State, 59-13. And, Dante Moore hitting on, 10 different receivers, just spraying the ball around. Offense was looking good. And look, I pointed this out in yesterday's podcast. There's something that Oregon fan could look at here and go, this is pretty good. Last year, the first 2.5 games, it was a struggle. They weren't covering point spreads. They weren't blowing people out. They were just trying to find ways to win. Here, you got a big win, 59-13 over Montana State. I would say that's a good start moving forward. And we'll see if they cover the 28.5 or have a blowout of any kind against Oklahoma State this weekend. So anyway, after that, the Ducks then hit the road. They go to the Windy City in Chicago, take it on Northwestern. And Northwestern's not very good this year. So then they come back home for the rival game against Oregon State. And then back out east for the whiteout, the primetime matchup at Penn State, and a rematch of last year's Big Ten championship game. We're all looking forward to that very much. And while Penn State has the most experienced quarterback in college football with Drew Aller, by then Dante Moore should be getting into the flow. And he'll have a few games under his belt and ready to go, in addition to the experience he had 2 years ago at UCLA. So I think Oregon's going to be in decent shape. Now, Penn State, that's going to be a big one. Looking forward to all that as well. In other news around the Big Ten, Nebraska's home opener under the lights in Lincoln is against the Akron Zips Saturday night. And Matt Rule's bringing a lot of recruits in to show them all the electric, all the vibe, the electric vibe there of a night game at Lincoln. And he also talked about his running back, Emmett Johnson. And he's still going to be the number one part of the game plan, but look for other running backs, not named Emmett Johnson, to get a few more touches. Because look, Johnson's a good dual threat running back. He can run, he can catch. He had 25 carries against Cincinnati for 108 yards, which was good. Also 7 catches for 27 yards, but they need to spread it out a little bit and save his legs, man. And Matt Rule wants that to happen. Now he said, look, I let my coaches coach. I talked to Dana. He said he talked to Dana Holgerson. Holgerson said, look, man, it was my call. And Matt Rule seems pretty okay with that. But I think he'd like to see a few more guys like Heinrich, a couple other guys, the backup running backs, get some more carries in that one. Meanwhile, Kirk Ferentz gave an injury update for Iowa. Kamari Moulton, he's been battling a hammy this summer. He banged up his shoulder against Albany on Saturday. 3 carries at 22 yards, and then he was out. He was ruled out even before halftime of that game. And it looks like he's not going to be available for a couple more weeks. He's going to miss the big Iowa State game this weekend. And, of course, by the way, if Kirk Ferentz wins that game, he will be the all-time winningest coach in the Big Ten. He'll pass Woody Hayes. So that's something we'll keep an eye on as well. If you are new to our podcast, we always close it out when our final segment with really cool features. Mondays, we do my top 10 Big Ten observations from the weekend. Tuesdays, we do Tuesday tweets. Wednesdays, we power rank stuff. Thursdays, we look ahead to the Big Ten Network coverage over the weekend with Big Ten Classics and Big Ten Live Action. And Friday, it's Pigskin Picks. We go on the record. And like I said, we'll have that Oregon minus 28.5 on that list of things. But since it's Wednesday, we power rank. And since we play games, we're going to power rank after week 1. Teams 1 through 18 in the Big Ten. That's all coming up in 1 minute. We'll see where your team lands on that list right here on Locked On Big Ten. NFL season is here. We kick it off tomorrow night. Very excited. You can be even more excited if you are in with FanDuel. So make sure you're ready with this can't miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. And if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. The app is very easy to use. And you can do futures, you can do point spreads, props, parlays, all very quick and easy to use and get around on the app. And even last second stuff on Sundays or in game. You think about that? FanDuel. So if you're ready to play, download the FanDuel app right now by visiting FanDuel.com and get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. Monarch Money helps you keep all of your money under control. You can figure it out. It helps you grow your money as well because a lot of people have stuff all over the place. Can you name where all your financial accounts are and your apps and all that kind of stuff, whether it's 401ks, properties, your banks, your investments, your credit cards? You don't have the full picture unless you have it right there in front of you. And that's where Monarch Money comes in. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or on your phone. Monarch is built for people with busy lives. And if you put off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. Monarch does the heavy lifting, and you can link all of your accounts in minutes. And you can see, clear data visuals right there, get money, categorize, see where you're spending the most money, stuff like that, all that. And you can identify, maybe you're not saving as much here and there as you think you were. But Monarch Money helps you do that. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with the code LOCKEDONCollege. All right, time now to take a look at our power rankings, our first in-season power rankings. I'm going to put them full screen here. If you're audio only, it's just a simple list. We'll start off 1 through 10, and we have to have the Ohio State football team at number 1. Look, you beat the number 1 team in the nation, you got to be number 1. The 14-7 win over Texas on Saturday. The defense looks elite with Matt Patricia. And they're going to be our number 1 team. Got Penn State right there at number 2. Had a pretty steady, easy day against Nevada, offensively and defensively as well. And remember, they got Jim Knowles, defensive coordinator there. Andy Kotelnicki going into another year as the offensive coordinator. Got the Oregon Ducks sitting at number 3. Like I said earlier, nice, even blowout against Montana State. A pretty good FCS school, by the way. Runners up in the championship game the year before. I got Illinois. They were on Peacock on Friday night. Maybe you saw, maybe you didn't, but they beat Western Illinois 52-3. Business as usual there for the Fighting Illini. Now, I've been in my preseason. I moved up Washington High. I moved them up again. I got them at number 5. I think this is as balanced as any offense in the Big Ten, and they handled Colorado State. I would like to see their defense be a little better. But Devon Williams, Jonah Coleman, you got Boston, the receiver. I like this lineup offensively. I think Washington's a team to watch. At number 6, I got the Michigan Wolverines. They beat New Mexico. Bryce Underwood is the real deal. And he's only going to get better. He's only going to get better. I mean, he was throwing. He was putting blocks down. It was a good run for a true freshman who just turned 18. Right? I got USC at number 7. Look, 73 points is 73 points. I don't care who you're playing, Missouri State or not. 73 points for the Trojans. Usually, if you beat up on a lesser team like that and put up a big number, you got something. If they had only beaten them, 34-20, maybe I'd be concerned. 73 points. Indiana. And see, the opposite is true here. Indiana, they beat Old Dominion. I'm going to say I don't think they beat them by enough. I'm a little concerned about their passing game with Fernando Mendoza right now. The running game looks good, but teams can focus on that. And I did not like their passing game. They got some things to clean up. Kurt Cignetti said as much. Slow start in that game. Hoosiers were down 7-0 at one point in that game. I got Nebraska at number 9. I thought that was a huge win against Cincinnati, and it looked like, they were going to blow it right at the end. But they didn't. They got that interception at the goal line, and instead of losing a close game, they won a close game. That's not a small feat. And now they come home. I got Iowa rounding out the top 10. Kirk Ferentz, I mentioned, one more win. He's the all-time winningest coach of the Big Ten. Big game against Iowa State. Last week against Albany, they were favored by 38.5. What did I tell you on Pigskin Picks on Friday? I said Iowa will not score 38.5 points. There's no way they can win by 38.5. They scored 34. We were right. All right, let's take a look at the best of the rest. I don't like to say that bottom half because we're fans of everybody here. Got Maryland at number 11. I told you. Malik Washington, he's the real deal. They put up 39 points against Florida Atlantic. Rutgers, how about that shootout against Ohio? Looking real flashy on last Thursday. So I got them at 12. Michigan State, Aiden Childs against Western Michigan. I watched him. I thought, there's so much there. He dropped a couple balls, fumbled, but if he can just keep things consistent throughout an entire game, throughout an entire season, I think it's going to be just fine. I got Minnesota sitting at number 14. I would like to see Darius Taylor maybe run the ball 22 times, not 30 times. Going to wear him out. Coy Parrish played 3 ways: safety, wide receiver, and punt returner. I got Wisconsin at number 15. It was nice they got the shutout over Miami of Ohio, but Billy Edwards Jr., the quarterback, was injured. It was not catastrophic or season-ending. That offense did not look good. They led Miami of Ohio 3-0 at the half. That probably, at home, that shouldn't happen. So I got them ranked a little further down here. Got Purdue sitting at number 16, even though you'd be like, what more can they do? Barry Odom's first game, Ryan Brown comes out there. They shut out Ball State. They win 31-0. All right, do it again. I'll start moving Purdue up. I got UCLA at number 17. I watched a lot of that game this weekend, and I was, Nico was a one-man show. The offensive line just was not good. Nico was always on the run and under duress. And then I got Northwestern at number 18 after their game against Tulane, and they did not score a touchdown. And I just think it is going to be a long, long season for Northwestern this year. All right, what do you think? Did I get the order right? Where's your team, right or wrong? Let me know. Hit me up in the comments section. Always like to hear from you on all that stuff. A couple of things I want to tell you about in the meantime. Every day, we're here every day. If you're a Big Ten fan, I know you know other Big Ten people. Let them know we're out here every single day. And then on Saturdays, after the biggest game, we go live. This week, we are going to go live right after the Michigan-Oklahoma game. That is a 7:30 kickoff. So we'll probably be around 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock Pacific. Tune in live. You get to comment to me. You get my unfiltered post-game reaction. So we can do that together. Saturday nights. Mark your calendars. Love to have you join us. We had a great one last week after the Ohio State win over Texas. Hey, be sure to subscribe so you never miss a single episode, and share and follow and like Locked On Big Ten as well. Go back and check out a second listen. Maybe you missed yesterday's. I did 2 podcasts yesterday if you want to check that out. And another big moment for Locked On college football fans. Locked On and Fire TV present the college football kickoff, your ultimate college football weekly preview. Drake Toll from Locked On Big 12 leads the conversation alongside 2-time AP Coach of the Year Gary Patterson, former college star Jesse Holley, and Locked On's local experts. A college football preview only Locked On can pull off. Catch college football kickoff every Thursday throughout the season only on Fire TV. That'll do it for us. Can't wait to talk to you again tomorrow. We're getting closer to game week number 2 for Locked On Big Ten. I'm Craig Sheeman. We'll see you next time.